Hey, Sharam Namdarian here. We're doing this video on the top of my roof, the current place that I'm staying in. So look at that. Oh, nice city view. If this video is too distracting with all the external noises, like for example, birds cheeping and cars moving, you know, we can do it somewhere else. In this video, I wanted to talk about healing your relationship with other things, not just relationships. So on this channel, we do talk a lot about relationships. We do talk a lot about healing and emotional surrender as the God particle of, manifestation, and the God particle of, self-actualization and breakthroughs. For example, before every breakthrough, there is some form of emotional feeling and healing and surrender. So we focus on that, and we become active participants in our own healing relationship and our own healing life. In this video, I wanted to talk about healing your relationship with other things. And it's really important to look at your beliefs, look at your thoughts and beliefs about a situation and about a thing, because that is the very thing that often makes those things harder. We're going to talk very vaguely now, but then we will talk very specifically. So when we're talking about surrender, we're always talking about feeling, unapologetic feeling about what is fucking going on underneath. What that means is letting yourself fully feel the emotions that are going on underneath without any modification or change. This allows the emotions to run their course and to pass through. And once they have passed, we are either free from them, or we learn something about them, or we just don't experience it as much anymore. I remember, for example, helping people heal anxiety, surrendering anxiety. What ends up happening is that it might be fucking painful. It might be really painful because that person is forced to really feel their anxiety. But after that, the anxiety has less potency over them. Maybe they learn something. Maybe they like, oh, the anxiety is just, it doesn't mean as much anymore. But maybe from that new grand perspective, they just don't fucking care as much about that anxiety, you know? So when we look at things, we're also wanting to look at, when we're feeling things, we also want to look at our relationship with those things. A really good example in my current life is clients and comedy. I've started doing stand-up comedy. Haha, very fun. But it's a fucking challenge. I swear to God, it's one of the most intense challenges I have done in a while. I'm just checking to see if there was a possum over there. It was just a couple of bricks. So, like, for example, when I'm doing comedy, like, what's my relationship with comedy? What are the things I'm putting unconsciously on stand-up that are affecting my performance? For example, the belief that I actually have to be funny is itself a blockage, as well as you know what, like maybe stand-up, you want to be funny, right? But it can be a blockage, because if you don't allow yourself to be unfunny, you won't necessarily see what works and what doesn't work. For example, if you're always trying to be funny, you miss out on the nuance. I'm currently also healing my relationship, for example, with social media. For my whole life, I've struggled with social media, trying to get the idea out there, trying to produce content, trying to produce videos. And what ends up happening is I end up doing all this stuff. It doesn't get successful fast enough. And so I personally perceive it as a failed endeavor. Now, what I'm doing is healing my relationship with social media. What are my thoughts? What are my beliefs about it? Oh, well, one, for example, if it isn't successful straight away, it's not successful. Surrendering that feeling, letting myself fully feel that, I came to the amazing breakthrough that, holy shit, it's okay if my post isn't successful straight away. Obviously, I'd like it to be successful. Obviously, I'd like things to grow really quickly. That's fine, but there is a sense of equanimity. For example, when I'm helping people specifically heal relationships with other humans, equanimity is always the goal. This idea that it's okay with, it's okay without, but they have their intent. Like, for example, the sexual connection. I want to love you. I want to be with you, but I'm okay if you say no. From that position, it is your ideologies, your sense of self has more potency, because you are okay with the outcome. You've accepted it, and because you've accepted the outcome, you're not afraid of it. You're actually more potent expressing yourself. So, for example, with social media, like, I'm okay if things don't go successful, but I'm also okay if they go successfully slower. And like a sign from the universe, I then created a post, which is me being stupid, that has now been is an Instagram reel. It's now the biggest one that I have. It's just me being like, why doesn't this filter work with my bald hair? and I don't know, it's 60,000 views, 70,000, something like that. I can't quite remember, but it has grown so slowly as a like a fucking sign from the universe that it's okay for things to be slow. Here is a perfect example. So it's our relationship with these things. I then had another breakthrough, for example, in stand-up comedy, that breakthroughs in one area will always translate to a breakthrough in another area. So for example, that the breakthrough with the stand-up comedy, one that are happening, was I was like, oh, my jokes aren't funny, I'm trying, it's not working, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's okay if they're not funny straight away. And I noticed the next time I went up, there was a split-second delay where usually I would freak out in that split second and be like, oh, they don't like my jokes. That split second was, oh God, it's fine, they don't get it, it's fine. And then I noticed that they did laugh. And I was able to see that. Now, I am talking a lot about myself here, and I will talk a little bit more about myself, but hopefully these stories have really inspired you or opened you up to thinking about how your relationship with things are. For example, with work. Does work always have to be so fucking hard? It can be, and it can be enjoyably difficult, but it doesn't always have to be. There are always, I believe, there are always easier ways to do this. And I know if you're in here, if you're watching this fucking video and you're in a company that you don't necessarily believe is functioning as well as it should be, what are your thoughts and beliefs about your coworkers? You know, are you unconsciously putting beliefs onto them that they don't necessarily agree with? You, for example, saying people don't listen to me. I often find that that's one of the most beautiful examples. Remember, when I was talking about healing relationships with other people, you have a pipe with them. You have a pipe where you put the thoughts and beliefs in them in the pipe that block that flow of energy. They also put those thoughts and beliefs. So it's like, this is sharing a pipe not only with other people, but other things in your life. So for example, I found one of the most interesting things is when you believe someone isn't listening to you, it's more often than not also an example that you aren't listening to them. You aren't necessarily seeing how they like to communicate. And this has been fucking trialed and tested in my own life with someone who pisses people off systematically about how they just don't perceive. And it's that relationship that you have not only with them, but your thoughts and beliefs about the situation. So we're not only talking about like healing the direct relationship, but your relationship with that relationship. You know, for example, health. It's like you might think, oh, but being healthy is more expensive. Being healthy is hard. Being healthy is difficult. What's the list of beliefs and thoughts you have about health? What are the lists and thoughts and beliefs about dating? What are the lists and thoughts and beliefs you have about relationship? What are the list of the thoughts and beliefs you have about career, about self-identity? You know, I often believe, and I often say this as well, if you don't like what you look like, you haven't looked at yourself enough. That's because when you fully look at yourself and surrender to all those feelings that come up, you have a chance to heal those things and see yourself just as you are, which is fucking sexy. You learn through the healing journey that your attractiveness isn't necessarily related to your appearance, that it's an energy that you give and receive, and ultimately what ends up happening is that, yes, like you're the one who marinates yourself with that energy. And what I mean by marinate, it's like cooking, right? Like you marinate something with a sauce, it absorbs that flavor. You marinate your body with your own sexual feelings and intent, and therefore you start to see yourself as one. And then when you start to see yourself as one, you start to act differently, communicate differently, things like that. Some people find that very hard and jarring. For example, if you are not stereotypically attractive, it might be harder for someone to perceive that, and that might ironically challenge them, and they might they might hate the fact that they're attracted to you, but that's fantastic. Because what's that relationship? What's that relationship with hate? For example, one of the things I used to have about producing these videos is I used to want people to want them. I was like, please, can you just want my videos? Can you like it? Can you view it? Can you fucking enjoy it? And my relationship was stifling it. That was my relationship with you, the viewer, my relationship with potential viewers, things like that, was always being stifled by my choking, my needing it to be and act a certain way. So what ends up happening is I surrender, I process those feelings. I then learned eventually that it's like, it's okay for people not to like my videos. In fact, maybe that's what I want. Maybe I want people to not like my videos, because for some people, it's gonna be fucking jarring. They're And for some people, it is jarring. I'm saying feel, fucking feel. Some people go, I don't know how to feel. And you saying you don't know how to feel is a feeling. And you surrender to the fact that you think you don't know how to feel. Fantastic, you've done it. So I want that. I want people to not necessarily like my content. That is what sometimes people lean into. They lean into that sort of that oh, if people are talking about it, they'll share it, you know. And some people talk about things they hate, things about relationship with other people. If you're always trying to make people like you, people don't fucking like the real you, because you're someone who is both lovable and likable and all this stuff, but also someone who will piss people off. And if you're always trying to people to love you, you lean out of that. Sometimes some people's method of enjoying you is hating you, is pushing you away before they fully accept you. Now, I'm not saying be an asshole, but what I'm saying is accept that some people, that's just how their pipe works. And my first example of this one was actually the Bohemian Rhapsody out of Queen. I hope the wind isn't affecting the sound. I'm using my headphones. Like, does this help? But they were talking about the song Bohemian Rhapsody, and they showed all these news articles about how it was a terrible song, and then they showed news articles about how it was an amazing song. And it really, I don't know, I was ready to receive that some people can hate something as their journey to liking something. That if you say that they must like you straight away, you are missing the journey and the nuance that some people go through. And yourself, that you have to like something straight away, that you have to want something straight away, that you have to be a certain way. These are all things to process, to surrender, to let them move through your fucking pipe, so your energy can just be you in the universe. You can be one with everything and not necessarily fight it. For example, sexually with your partner or partners, or if you're single or whatever, like, what are your thoughts and beliefs about your partner? You often feel like your partner might reject you when you are embracing them or you try and connect with them. What ends up happening is if you say they shouldn't reject you, you are missing the nuance. You are missing the nuance that maybe they are just saying not yet. Maybe they're just saying, I'm not ready for this. Maybe they're actually saying they fucking like it and they like that push-pull. And you are missing the fundamental human thing that people are telegraphing their emotions so vibrantly, so amazingly, just through their actions, their little subtle communications, their little fucking micro muscles, things like that, that you can miss out on that fucking nuance if you say it has to be a certain way. So in this video, we have been talking a lot about healing your relationship with things, but looking at also your thoughts and beliefs about that thing. So this is, you know, that example. But like, for example, like, let's talk about, let's look at yourself. You know, do you have any thoughts and beliefs about yourself that you think you have to be a certain way, that you must look a certain way, that you must act a certain way? What are those thoughts and beliefs? If you want, you can write them down in the comments. And as you write them down, afterwards, once you press enter, I want you to surrender to how it feels as you read those things. Because that's your relationship not only with those things, but with other things. Other people, if you read those comments, if there are no comments that you do, write your fucking own. Don't be a wimp. After you read that, read through other people's comments, surrender to how it feels as you read those comments. Any thoughts and beliefs, we'll start this together. If you feel like you need a much more in-depth guide to what emotional healing and surrender is, link in the description. There will be an online course that I have. It's an audio course, Put Me in Your Ears, Introduction to Surrender. Somewhere on the website, if you're lucky, there'll be a little pop-up, 50% off. You can get that 50% off. I can't remember the price of it is right now, but you'll get that 50% off. If you do need me as a guided coach in your life, you can book a call with me. It's just a free call. We can chat, see if it's the right idea. I can give you a few ideas. And thank you so much for watching this video. You've been fantastic, and hopefully you've been liking my reels that I've been shooting out there. I'm just on my reels, so, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, whatever they are. I care less about, you know, trying to make this a cohesive thing, because I used to try and make everything like a cohesive, this idea like it must be cohesive, everything must lead into something else. And by accepting that it doesn't have to be cohesive or even make sense, over time, I've accepted how it actually does, that I'm just expressing myself and you can receive that in your own way, and I don't need to manipulate you into wanting to buy or wanting to learn about healing. You can just enjoy it in your own method, in your own way. So thank you so much for watching. You have been fantastic. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. If you liked this video, press that like button. It helps me out with the algorithm. And if you haven't already written that list of things that you what's your relationship with yourself, what are some thoughts and beliefs how you have about yourself, good and the bad, write those in the description, because then we can start this healing journey together. Thank you so much. Bye.